Hi, this is Ana Stephanie Muñoz. It's a pleasure to have you here today. This Facebook Live will last between 30 to 45 minutes, and we have a very special guest from Canada coming today. I want you to tell you that these Facebook Lives we have them once a week. Sometimes during English, most of the times during Spanish, but I'm going to put the link there so you can subscribe if you want. I want to remind you that my company, Excede tu Potencial, has the purpose of helping companies refocus positively under stress levels so they can improve productivity, relationships, and results. And as a transformational coach focusing on stress, my main focus is to help you find the life balance that you're looking for. So for me, it's very important to introduce today to a very, very special colleague, friend, and mentor. His name is Michel Gagne. He's Canadian. He is a sports coach, an executive coach. He has been living for over 30 years in Asia. So he has been training Olympic sports medalist, and he also works with the top management teams of Asia. And he has studies in a broad variety of things: business administration, psychology, mental training, and he's part of many worldwide associations and organizations, and he's also a PhD. So please welcome Michel Gagne. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here, Michel. If you want to give some words to our audience about what you do and what we're going to talk about today, that's
Well,
resilience
I
and
would say good evening, Guatemala. I don't know how it is there. Here right now, I'm in Quebec. I'm not
yeah.
in Asia. Due to the nice coronavirus, I had to repatriate in my country. And even now, I will talk a little bit about it. So I want to talk about resilience. So how we bounce back after difficulties. And of course, the role that stress is playing into this. Many people have difficulty to bounce back because they feel too much stress. So I have a presentation to share with you. And from there, I will talk and ask questions. You can chat back, and we can see if we can answer some of your question or interrogation. So,
Excellent. Excellent.
okay, now let's put the PowerPoint. You control the PowerPoint, or I control the PowerPoint?
You control it.
Okay, so okay. Do you see the PowerPoint now?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Do
see
you
all
see
the
the first
slides.
slide? Just the first slide.
There. Yeah.
So you see it. Because I don't see myself anymore, so I will be talking to the slide. So
Okay,
I
perfect.
cannot see you, but if you can, because I know sometimes we use it, I can see in a small window my face, but this time I only see the slide. So of course I will attack with resilience. What is the ability to recover quickly from difficult condition? Well, I am personally, like probably many of you, facing the difficult conditions since the beginning of 2020. COVID-19 has catch up everyone by surprise, and lockdown of country have kicked me out of Malaysia, where I operate my business for the last 30 years. And now for 4 months, I'm back here in my house in Quebec, Canada, and I cannot even go back. Even my son, which I've studied since he is born in Malaysia, now he is starting in a French school tomorrow, and he doesn't speak French. So I don't want him to lose his school year because of the country is closed. You know, many countries in the world right now are afraid of North America because of the spread of COVID in US and because Canada is a neighbor. So Canadian, I cannot enter many Asian countries right now. Is this affecting me, and how much stress am I facing through or whatever? And that's what I'm going to talk about it a little bit. And I will start by asking you a question. Are you stressed right now? If you think you are, how do you know? And many people, like other people in Quebec, people are so scared. They're afraid of their own shadow. They're afraid of their own family member. People hide themselves in their house. But I want to tell you, But here in Quebec, people are quite well disciplined. They respect the distance of 2 meters between people. They wear the mask, and they wait for their turn. There is no pushing, no rushing. It's shopping combo. Yourself, how do you know? Well, me, I know, and I will explain a little bit why. By using things, I test myself every day.
You're
So
cutting
you
a bit,
notice on that
Michel. If you
slide.
can repeat the last
Yeah.
part you said, because you were cutting.
Okay, so I hope I will not be cutting too much. So how do I know? I use an application that is on my mobile phone. So right now you have the slide that show you two pictures that I took from my phone. And every morning, like this one on the left, I took at 8:12 this morning, and it showed me that my stress level is very low, but my heartbeat is 71, and the most important, the oxygenation of my blood is 96%. We should have at least 95% and above oxygenation of our blood. And this is why many people get sick. They breathe, but there is no oxygen in their blood, and some cells start to suffer from lack of oxygen. So oxygenation is one way. And if you have a mobile phone, whatever brand it is, you should check if the company that sell you that phone provide a free application. Mine from Samsung is called Health. So it's a health application provided free by Samsung. And then I can check and measure on a regular basis my heartbeat and, of course, my oxygenation. And as you see, my stress level is very low.
Can you repeat?
But if you take my pressure, I have a higher blood pressure because of my consistency. And the next one, it's an exercise. They suggest breathing exercise, because I will explain to you later. One of the best way to manage stress is by breathing exercises.
Definitely. Can you repeat the name of the app on the phone that we should be looking for to?
Okay, it's called Health Test. It's a health application that comes with Samsung phone, which can be downloaded free from Apple application or Google application.
Health test.
Google Store, you can download it for free. I know Apple have the same thing, but people have to search which application. And normally it's an application that tests your health condition, your heartbeat, and so on. So I suggest if you don't have a way to measure it, instead of thinking you are stressed, check it, test it. And now we live in a technological world. We have technology available for free to everyone to check where are we. And some of this technology we can connect with our physician if you have a medical doctor, and you can have discussion with them. So don't leave stress without checking it. Because right now, if we watch the news all over the world is under very stressful situation. And we hear a lot of stories. So the best thing is double check for yourself.
Yeah.
And of course, what is stress and how it happens? I go back to Dr. Anselye, which in 1936, for the first time, came up with a physiological stress response, which is the non-specific response to any demand. So in other words, stress doesn't just happen. It's a reaction of our body to a specific event or emotion. And this is why stress must be checked in our body. We have to know ourselves, we have to know our body very well to know if we are stressed or not. Like you notice in the previous slide I showed you, my stress level is very low because I check myself regularly and I know how to regulate the stress impact on my body. And of course, where it affects, stress affects the autonomous nervous system. And this is where we manage stress and recovery. And how to be resilient when you know that you are controlling your stress and your recovery from any stress event, then you are in a better position to be resilient in your business. Maybe some of you have lost your job, have lost your business. Times are very difficult. In my case, I have to restart my business in Quebec right now. I don't know how long I'll be here because Malaysia have said already the country will be closed to foreigner until December.
Wow.
So I will be 1 year away from my business. So how can I survive? Well, one thing is sure, I manage my stress very well. I know that I am not physically affected by it. And of course, it's something to monitor on a regular basis. I was a lucky one. Dr. Anselye is from Hungary, and he came to Canada many, many years ago. And in 1967, when I entered university, he was one of my lecturers. And he really
Wow.
opened my eyes at that time. He was the first one proving scientifically stress is a silence killer. If you are exposed for too long to the stressful events in your life, it slowly affects your body. And I will go further on explaining. So I consider myself very lucky. I met this guy in 1967. I'm just 17 years old. And this is the same time where I started working with athletes. And it has impacted my professional life since 1967. Unfortunately, he disappeared from this earth in 1982. This man was incredible, publishing over 1,000 scientific articles. Have been proposed many times for Nobel Prize on Science, and he received many awards in his life. And he is really the father of stress. Why we use the word stress? Because he came up as a Hungarian with that word. But at that time, he's a biologist. He's a epidemiologist. He didn't know that stress is also used in engineering to test the resistance of material, to
Exactly.
check the stress of material. He didn't know. And unfortunately, right now, people only talk about stress. I will explain later. In sport, we don't use the word stress. We use the word arousal or activation. I am not stressed. I am activated. My body is activated by the event coming, whether it is a competition or something difficult. I work with business people, it's the same thing. I work with salespeople. They are closing a deal of $1 million. And many of them say, I'm so stressed when I'm closing the deal. I say, you're not stressed, you are activated. And they have to
Exactly.
identify, what do you mean by being activated, by being aroused? And this is why maybe it's time for people to change the word. The
Yeah,
word
I
stress
love
is
those
very
words.
we have to get rid of that word, replace it by something more manageable. Arousal and activation is more manageable than stress.
Hmm.
Stress is like something terrible happening to me. But to be aroused, it's normal. And I even work with athletes, they use the word excited. Before a final, how do you feel? I feel excited. Other athletes will
Hmm.
say, oh, I feel very nervous. I feel very anxious. But the
Yeah.
champion will say, I'm excited. And I like the word excitement. Excitement is more positive. It's more motivating. So we have to remove from our vocabulary a lot of negative words.
I know. Even though there's a
So
positive stress word, but it's not too sexy or
yes,
appealing.
yes,
The use stress word, it's not too sexy. And it's not like I
I agree
use
with you
stress.
because yeah,
It's not
you're right.
activated.
The word stress is still in it. That's why I prefer to use word where there is no stress. The word
Yeah.
stress, because when I work with the athlete, they never say I'm stressed, I'm tense, they say I'm excited. And I will talk a
Exactly.
little bit more. And how do you know?
Hmm.
Because the response to stress is physiological. But the most important to know is 70% of the people react cardiovascularly. So that's why people under continuous and prolonged stress, there is a lot of cardiac problem, cardiac arrest, uh, blood vessel circulation problem, and so on. 70% of the people. And that's why sometimes I ask people, how do you know you're stressed? They say, my heart is pumping. Sometimes they will say, my blood pressure is increasing. The idea is double check. Are you part of that category of people that react to stress cardiovascularly? It's in your heart and in your blood system that you can see
Hmm.
it. 20% of the people react muscularly. They become tense muscularly. The muscle become tense. And of course, these people how to relax. Most people have never learned about autogenic training method,
Hmm.
progressive muscular relaxation. We have over 600 muscles that we can control. People have never learned to relax their muscle. Of course, there is one way easy. Go to a masseur or a kinesiotherapist. Put your
Exactly.
body into your hand. They will release the muscular tension created by a stressful event.
Hmm.
I work with athletes. Most of the world athlete I work with, Olympic athlete, we always travel with physiotherapist and so they will by feeling after a good massage they feel so loose, so relaxed, and in a better condition to compete. And it's the same in business. I know people who are very tense in meeting. I know chief executive officer of company before making an important corporate decision feel very tense. So what do we
Hmm.
suggest to them? call in a massotherapist or go to a massage parlor. Of course, professional. There's so many massage techniques, but you can release
Yes.
muscular tension. So it's one way to cope with a response to stress. And there is 10% of people who react cognitively. They think too much. They cannot control their thought. They get confused.
That's true.
The best example is student before an exam. Before the exam, they know
Mhm.
everything. They enter the exam and they start reading the question and they have blank of memory. They don't remember.
Exactly.
And the moment they get out of the exam, they remember everything. Too bad the exam is finished. So those people actually have to realize, why am I thinking so much? How can I stop thinking? And many people talk about, living in the present. Stop living in your
Mhm.
head. Live in your senses. Look at what you're looking. Hear music. Taste something nice. Smell nice fragrance. Move. So get out of your head. Go into your body. Go into your senses. So finally, three type of people responds to stress. And it's important that each of you recognize, when I'm stressed, which part of am I? Am I muscularly concerned? Am I cognitively concerned? Or is it my cardiovascular? Of course, cardiovascular is one of the biggest killer in the modern world. Many people die of heart attack or related disease. And of course, these people need to get checked regularly. We hear so
Mhm.
many people now go to bypass, all kind of problem because of the cardiac aspect. And it's most of the people, this is how they are suffering from stress.
Percent.
So the idea is, know yourself. If you don't know, find a tool to measure yourself. If you're not sure, go and see a physician, go and see your doctor. You have to know, how does my body respond to stress? And once you start knowing, then you can reduce its impact. Of course, most of the impact is in the autonomic nervous system, which we call parasympathetic or sympathetic. I
Mhm.
will come back later on it. This also you should know yourself. If you are, like I work with teacher, university professors, sometimes they say, my mouth is, they need to drink water. Their mouth is very dry. And of course, they have to realize, because the sympathetic nervous system is activated. Some people like digestive problem. I used to be a dancer, and I remember before performance, before they opened the curtain in the theater, many of my friends were going toilet, diarrhea, some were vomiting, some were just of sympathetic nervous system. The only problem is they don't know how to trigger the parasympathetic. And I will talk a little bit more
Mm.
about them. There is simple way to shift from activation sympathetic to
Mhm.
less activation parasympathetic, and to reduce the impact of stress.
Exactly.
And it can be done quite easily. And of course, there is basically three scenarios that cause strong stress response. Now we are in the year of COVID-19. Of course, is this a novelty? We started this year with this novelty. Suddenly, a virus that was labeled as worse than all the other viruses that travel the world all the time.
Mhm.
And suddenly, this virus created a culture of fear all over the world. And that's why the world reacted in a very, very negative way, a very protective way. Of course, uncertainty. Right now, we are in September, the ninth month of really this year. Are we going to get rid of the virus? Now, many people, I live in Canada, people talk about the flu season. Autumn is coming where normally more and more people have the regular seasonal flu. So many people are certain, COVID plus the regular flu, is it getting to get worse or is it going to get worse? And of course, uncontrollability. Do you feel in control of yourself right now in that situation, or you feel non-control? Like me, I have no control of what's happening of my business in Malaysia. I cannot even go back
Mm.
there. So how should I feel? Very insecure, or should I don't give a damn and control what I can control? What I can control is I am here in Canada. I can control here. I cannot control there. And here, naturally, I have to reconnect. I've been away for 30 years. So after 30 years, far from the eyes, far from the heart, many people are all surprised. You're back, you're back, you're back. I'm not back because I want to be back. I'm back because I cannot go back. But there
Mhm.
are things I can control. And I put my mind in what I can control instead of looking at what I cannot control. I should not put my mind in what I cannot control. Certainty, I am certain of certain thing, and there are other things I'm not concerned. If I'm not certain of something, if it is out of my controllability, I should not worry about it. And novelty is what? Of course, novelty is, are they coming with that famous vaccine that everybody's talking about? And of course, we know
Mhm.
that they have started testing that some vaccine in Africa already. And we know in Canada they're coming up with vaccine. We know Russians are doing it. So there is a lot of novelty. But is
Yeah.
it frightening or is it making us more secure? So of course, we have to look at which scenario we feel in. Personally, yourself, are you facing too much new stuff? I know for many people going shopping when you have to be 2 meters apart from every customer is something new that never been done. I know in
Mhm.
Asia, people go shopping as a family. 2 people go shopping, but 20 people will follow. Suddenly, they cannot bring their family. They have to go alone. And this is very new for them. And this is very stressful. They used to be surrounded. If you have young children, do you feel secure or you feel it's more risky? And that's why we have to look at each other personally. Am I facing a lot of novelty, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of uncontrollability? And this is why I have to reorganize my mind and where I put my
Exactly.
priority and stop to be affected by what's going on.
Yeah, because otherwise you go crazy. And
That's
that's what's
exactly
happening to
that's
many
the
people
problem.
right
And
now.
many people right now they go crazy. They don't know what to do. They're completely lost. I know
Exactly.
people who hide themselves in their house. They're so afraid they don't
Hmm.
want to get out.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? And of course, control or even the illusion of control can reduce stress. Not being in control elicit an intense stress response. And sometimes I wonder about the World Health Organization. Are they realizing that all the news they give is news that show people that people have no control? If they are medical people, they should understand one thing: be careful of what news you release. Is that
Yeah.
release increasing fear, or is that release helping people to take control of their life? And we have to
Exactly.
be careful of watching the news right now. So many experts on the internet. Facebook is full of experts, and we know that there is in the world people who are really going against the mask and everything. So when you look at this, do you feel in control of yourself or you feel out of control? Me, I know one thing. Bring a manifestation in Montreal that happened a few days ago, and you can count on me not to be there because I
Hmm.
want to be in control. If I go in a crowd where people don't respect the distance, don't respect the wear of mask, should I go or not? Stay in
Hmm.
control unless you get trapped into it and it increases your stress. And it is not getting reducing, it's getting worse. Look what happened in Germany recently, look what happened in the US, and it in London, it's getting worldwide. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of people who are out of control right now. And the problem, the authority don't take control of them. Police authorize them, let them do these things. So of course, if
Hmm.
you are a person who want to protect yourself, I would say stay away from this. Stay in control of yourself. Avoid the crowd. Avoid
Hmm.
manifestation, and reduce listening to all these news that confuse your own thinking. So we have to take
Exactly.
care of yourself. And
Yeah.
COVID is bouncing back, it seems. Are we going to have a second wave? I don't care what they say. One thing is sure: when I get out in public, I wear my mask and I keep my 2 meter
Hmm.
distance. Tomorrow, I have a meeting. My son is starting a new school in French. My
Hmm.
son doesn't speak French. And I'm attending a parent conference. Of course,
Hmm.
parents, but I know I've already talked to the school authority. They say in the conference room, because it's an auditorium, 2 seats between people. So what
Hmm.
people being assured, they have already secured that in the auditorium there will not be 2 people side by side. And
Hmm.
everybody compulsory must wear the mask. No mask, you cannot enter the school. So I
That's
feel in
great.
control in a situation like this because the school board has taken proper action.
Yeah, exactly.
Right or wrong, I'm not here to discuss the right or wrong. If this is the way
Yeah.
it is, that's it. And I feel in
Yeah.
control in a situation like this. And I suggest to
Exactly.
people do the same with yourself. Don't take unnecessary risk. What's the point?
Hmm. Yeah, be in control of what you can actually control. And
Yes.
and one of the things I want to ask you, I don't know if you're going to talk later on about that, but that stress that's going on, there's like I believe, two extremes. I mean, and I will tell you about one extreme that's happening in Guatemala and probably other countries, but one extreme is I don't go out of the house and I don't relate to anybody. That's one extreme. And the other one extreme is I don't care and I'm very irresponsible about it.
And I
So
think we see this all over the world, the same situation. Two extremes. One is people become ermine, they disappear in their house. They don't want to get out, they don't trust, they don't, even their own
and
family
they're
members,
like, I'm right.
they don't want to relate with anybody anymore. This is terrible. But this is
Exactly.
the
So
reality. And
what
chronic
can we
exposure
do?
to these three conditions will cause chronic stress. And when it's
Exactly.
chronic, it's getting out of control. Your body is in disharmony. Now your
Hmm.
body is breaking down piece by piece. And this is what
Yeah,
we have to avoid. And that's what I say.
exactly.
Acute stress is good. Contrary to a
Hmm.
lot of people think stress is bad. No, stress is good.
No,
Athletes in
it's good.
competition, the winner always compete in what they call it the zone. I'm in the zone. But to be in the zone is accelerated when you are on acute stress. And that's very
Exactly.
important. And of course, I work with athletes to prepare them for that. And of course, one
Hmm.
of the stress response because of the heart, you remember 70% is cardiovascular. Cortisol and
Hmm.
adrenaline affect the cardiovascular. Of course, once in a while is good, but constantly it's dangerous.
Yeah.
So we have to look to reduce the long-term aspect of what's going on. We
Hmm.
must be in control. Athlete go in competition. Olympic happen once in 4 years. If there was Olympic at every year, it would be terrible. It's
No,
good to have
it's
an Olympic at 4 years. It gives it 4 years to prepare and
to
readapt
prepare.
to another Olympic. And that's why
Exactly.
Olympics are spread out. Most championships are spread out, but we prepare them progressively for that. So what about success? Success is also very stressful. And I use sometimes questionnaire because for the people who think, who get crazy in their head, I ask them simple question. When are you
Hmm.
happy? Uh, your achievement come in respect, yes or no? Extremely important for me to do well in all the things. Often the cost of success is greater than the reward. I know many people say that. They sacrifice everything for one moment of glory. Many athletes, that's exactly what happened with them. They spent 16 years for one moment of glory, and they lost
Hmm.
their family, their friend, and everything for that moment of glory. And I believe that successful people are often sad and lonely. Some people think, yes, that's why for them, when they are on the verge of being successful, they get stressed because they say, if I'm
Hmm.
successful, I will be sad and lonely. And I think success has been emphasized too much in our culture. We live in a world where success is valued and evaluated by mostly materialistic things. How much money do you
Unfortunately.
make? Are you wealthy? Are you rich? How big is your house? What kind of car do you drive? We live in a very materialistic thing. So, which making most of the people on this planet feeling like I'm not successful because they
Exactly.
don't have any of these big materialistic things. And this also we have to look at. It's all based on values and belief. Why do you believe that a big house equals success? Why do you value that a lot of zero in your bank account make you successful? And we have to rethink a lot about our values and belief. And sometimes why
Hmm.
we are stressed is because of what we believe in. And this is why we have to relook at everything.
Yeah. No, and what we believe in and we don't have.
Yes.
Hmm.
And we should not, and we live in a society that has compared too much the rich and the poor.
Exactly. Exactly.
And, and Asian people are living for materialistic gain. Why are you on earth to acquire materialistic stuff?
Hmm.
You have a broken home, divorced, children don't call you father or mother anymore, and you're happy with it. Is this life? Maybe it's time we go back to basic living. We're human. We breathe by the nose, and that's it. And we are
Hmm.
bad. To live on earth is free. We live in paradise. We
We
human
do.
made it hell, but it's paradise. And you in Guatemala, the weather is most of the time beautiful. I
Yeah.
spent 30 years in Malaysia. It's eternal summer. In Canada,
Hmm.
now people are preparing for the fall season. And that's why positive self-talk are important. I sometimes recommend to a lot of people to reframe their negative belief and their negative thinking and to transform it into positive affirmation. And an affirmation is powerful if you repeat it, repeat it. It's like an athlete. How they become a champion? By repeating, practicing, repeat, repeat, and repeat. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it later. It's very important to repeat and repeat until it becomes an obsession. And we
Exactly.
have to slowly deactivate all these negative things we have inside us by doing
Mm-hmm.
activation. And of course, we talk about ideal performing state. There is an
Mm-hmm.
ideal performing state in everything we do. So, what is your mental focus? What do you think when you are doing well? What are the pictures you see in your mind? Emotional control. How do you feel? Happy, sad, tense? You must feel happy. And sometimes I talk about the winning feeling. I think the competition. When do you practice winning? Only in competition? No, you have to practice winning. I work in Malaysia. I have a podium, first, second, third stairs.
Mm-hmm.
We see in competition. We practice medal ceremony with the athlete. Practicing what it is when
Mm-hmm.
you're going to walk on the red carpet, they're going to call your name. You go on the first step, and then you're going to receive a medal, and then they will give you flowers, and then they will play national hymn of your country, the flag will
Uh-huh.
be raising, and that's where you go emotional. You start crying at the flag. You're so proud, you're so happy, you go into ecstasy. There is emotional aspect, and we have to practice this. And it's
Exactly.
the same for anybody. You get people who get married. Is this stressful to get married? I know people, it is terrible nightmare getting married. Should be the most happiest moment in life. And that's why many religions prepare people for marriage. They repeat the ceremony. We have to go like an athlete. We have to train. We have to get used. And now you want to get out of that wedding ceremony. You want to get out happy to have a memory forever. And it's important that
Mm-hmm.
we practice it. We practice the ideal performing state. And of course, physical action. What are you going to do? We call it the task at hand. How are you going to walk? How many steps? How long you going to stay here? How long you going to move there? Are you going to say something? Are you going to do something? And all this must be practiced and rehearsed. We do the same thing with the athlete. I do the same thing with business people. You present a product when you sell a product to a company. How do you do it? How you emphasize this? And how you have to rehearse, you have to practice, you have to practice. Practice
Mm-hmm.
make perfect. Too many people don't practice. They just think and they do. And that's why things don't work. And of course, what are the characteristics under stress of the ideal? First, self-regulation of the arousal. I'm not saying self-regulation of the stress, arousal or excitement. So I feel something has rise. Energized but calm and relaxed. Energize is the key, not relax. Unfortunately, right now there's too much information on social media. If you are stressed, you have to go to yoga, you have to go meditation, you have to go
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness and all these kind of things, which is okay. But under stress, you don't have time to do this. If you are a
Yeah.
salesperson, you're in front of your client and you're making the deal of the year. You have no time to relax. You have to be energized, but you have to remain calm and relaxed. So, energized and calm versus excited and nervous versus stressed and tense. You must have a high level of confidence. Of course, if you practice, if you rehearse, your confidence increase because you've done it many times. And also you can do mental rehearsal. You can rehearse in your mind many, many, many times. And this increases your level of self-confidence. You know you've done it in your mind 1,000 times. So if I've done it in
Mm-hmm.
my mind 1,000 times, what is stopping me to do it one time for real? And also concentration on the task at hand. So it means I must repeat the task at hand. I work with salespeople, ask them, when you're going to sign the contract, or ask the guy to sign the check to pay you, which pen are you going to use? Their pen or your pen? You must always have your pen in your pocket, your golden pen of success. Full
Mm-hmm.
control of emotion. When you're getting to achieve the task at hand, how do you feel? Nervous or happy? Enjoy. The winning feeling is there. Full control of the winning feeling. Positive self-talk and affirmation, repeating, altered state of consciousness. We most of the time we know now that athletes reach an altered state of consciousness, they operate in theta brain frequency. So how do I rehearse and practice my theta brain frequency? It's like
Mm-hmm.
anything else, it can be practiced. High performance imagery, seeing yourself in your mind, achieving the best performance in life. Everything we do as human is a performance. A
Okay.
kid who passed an exam of mathematics in school, it's a performance. And as parents, we should recognize this as a performance. And if they succeed, we should reward them for the success.
Mhm.
So it means we emphasize the importance of performing in life and being satisfied and controlling performance. And we should be committed and determined to achieve our best in everything we do in life. We should never satisfy with mediocrity. Failure is not an option in life. We should succeed at life and we should succeed in everything we do. So we must be committed and determined to make everything we do a success. And success doesn't mean
That's right.
winning all the time, because
No,
sometimes in sport, the most successful one is the one who finished last, because he
exactly.
beat his personal best, and sometimes he beat his country national record. So he come out of
Hmm.
the competition no medal, but he is so happy he has achieved the best he has ever done in life. And we have to
Exactly.
be more realistic in looking at what does that mean to be performing and to be successful. Of course, I will pass quickly on this. Very important to multisensory. When I perform, what do I see with my eyes? What do I hear with my ears? What will my body feel touching? What will I taste in my mouth? What is the taste of success? Well, I know people, because I work with athletes, they say it tastes strawberry because I put a strawberry candy in my mouth just before the final. And I can, when I win, it tastes strawberry. What does it smell? I work with athletes with essential oil. You know, the
Hmm.
trigger, we know the nose is incredible. We smell all kind of things 20,000 times a day. And the nose, the smell memory is one of the strongest. When you smell something once in your life, you remember forever. So if you do something well, fix this in your memory by having a special fragrance. And ladies who get married sometimes say, I was wearing that perfume.
That
And
perfume.
the bottle, even if it's empty, just looking at the bottle trigger the smell of that day, the fragrance I was
Yeah.
wearing at my wedding. And these things are important. We unfortunately we look at it as nothing. No, they are important. They are part of making our life colorful, life
Yeah.
plentiful. We
Of
should
the
use our multi.
experience, right?
Yes,
Of the experience of, and when you will remember that moment, one of the things you will remember is the smell that
yes,
was there at the moment.
yeah. And that's why me, I always travel with athlete. I bring my essential oil. I use one oil that I took in France that
Uh-huh.
come from 17th century perfumery of Louis XIV, and it's called
Wow.
Verveine. Verveine, most of the people in the world don't even know what it is. And I use
Mhm.
Verveine because it's unique. When you smell Verveine, forever you remember. I'm talking about it, and now I smell the Verveine. It's so fruity,
Oh,
so very unique, so very special. And the
okay.
idea, like you said, it fixed forever in our memory. And we have to remember, because when we remember good things, the stress disappear. It is replaced by joy and happiness, and I will share later a little bit what are the emotion connected with the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. They are sensation, they are emotion linked with rest and digest, the parasympathetic, and they are one who are linked with the fight or flight, which is,
Hmm.
and basically, when we connect multisensory with this, we can rebalance ourselves under a stressful situation. And of course, so what is the rest? Everybody say we should rest. The
Hmm.
of the rest is to deprive ourselves of our senses. Most of us are exposed to light all the time, even when we sleep. When is the last time you slept in total darkness? Most
Hmm.
people, total darkness doesn't exist even in the house. There's always light somewhere.
Exactly.
And why monks, go in caves, in mountains to meditate for months and years, to deprive the visual sense. So this way, the visual cortex is triggered by the invisible, not the
Hmm.
visible. And it's the same thing with sense. When is the last time you've been in a place where there is absolutely no sound? There is noise everywhere. The worst if you live in a city. In a city, there is always noise. Go back to the nature, at least go back to the sound of nature, the wind moving into the
Yeah.
leaves of the trees, the water running on a river. Waterfall is one of the most calming music in the world, and it's the sound of nature. And we have to take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we live in a world where everybody is listening to music on their mobile, and the music of today is definitely not the music of the 15th and 16th century. It's mostly electronic instrument. Even the musician are not even. When is the last time somebody created a new symphony? How many years ago was the last symphony written in this world? So
Wow. So
musician,
long.
it's getting rare and rare. Pop music or whatever you call it dominate the world we live in. And many
Yeah.
of the music are not the ones suitable to help stress. Luckily, we have now on the internet a lot of music available for meditation, relaxation. We have a lot of brainwave frequency available for free on the internet. And I
Yeah.
would say, you want to calm yourself, get a suitable music that is suitable to you.
Yeah.
Instead of listening to what's on the radio, the pop music of the month, or the best singer of the year, or whatever.
And the sounds of nature. If you live in a city and you're not able to listen to nature.
Totally agree with you.
Hmm.
And of course, sensory reduction, me, I use a lot of flotation thing, which is a totally soundproof, light-proof tank. It look like a coffin, and it's with
Hmm.
Epsom salt. You float on it. You have no feeling of gravity, and after a few minutes, you feel like you're floating in space. That's why we call it flotation tank.
Wow.
Plus, it reduces all the sensory coming from your eyes, your ear, even the ear, the balance, the equilibrium in the
Hmm.
ear is deactivated. There is no sound. So, and of course, we can use it to do affirmation because you can talk with the athlete in the tank. It's soundproof where we have speaker and the athlete can talk back. We even have flotation tank with TV camera. We can show them video of them performing well. And slowly, through preparing them, it's a training program. It's a mental training to the positive aspect of being aroused or being activated in a stressful situation.
That's amazing. One thing I was thinking when you were saying this is, I did once diving. Not, I mean, I'm not a certified diver or anything, but I tried it once,
Hmm.
and the stillness when you're in the water, it's amazing. It's so calming because it's completely peace. You don't hear anything, and you
Yes,
just see the nature is something that's really, I mean, that time I understood why people love so much diving, because
yes,
it's
it's another
really.
world. It's another world. It's another
Mhm.
dimension of exploration underwater.
Exactly.
Yes. So, of course, why meditating? To lower brain frequency. Most
Mhm.
meditation help your brain to go into alpha. We all
Yeah.
go into alpha when we sleep at night. But how to go in alpha voluntarily? This is like anything else. It can be triggered, it can be practiced. And how
Yeah.
to reduce the sensation that we receive. Our nervous system is constantly bombarded by sensation from the outside. We have to get out of it, and we have to learn to relax physically. We have 600 muscle that we can control. We have to know if I am muscularly tense, how to relax the muscle that are tense. If not, find yourself a good muscle that will help you to relax. And concentration is the same thing, how to stay focused on one thing at a time. And of course, if you go, there is a lot of meditation that use mantra, specific word, or specific music. And of course, breathing is one of the best way to control yourself and imagery.
Yeah. I agree with
Projecting
you.
yourself mentally in an ideal place that we use in mental training, or projecting yourself in a competitive environment, recreating the spectator, recreating the opponent, and so on. Getting used to it so that the nervous system get adapted to the stressor that normally will affect you. So of course, it brings the idea: is it the mind control the body, or is it the body that control the mind, or are they intimately related? Because stress
Or
is
both,
a
or both
non-toxic
control
reaction
us.
of the body.
Both
So
control us. We
yes,
can't control any of them. They control us.
and that's why under stress, it's our body that is affected. But of
Mhm.
course, through our mind, if we control different body part, we can slowly manage the stress effect on us. And of course, I use an approach that's come from sophrology, which is
Mhm.
derivated from Buddhism, the Hinduism, and Taoism, and it's divide the body into six components. And there is
Mhm.
different method for each of the components. And so each part, of course, there is some relation with the chakra, the energy chakra that the Hindu talk about,
Mhm.
the energy center of the body. But the body part are controllable, so they are bones and muscle and tendon that we can have control on it. And based on it, we can reduce our blood pressure, we can reduce our heartbeat, we can monitor our body temperature, and we can alter a lot of bodily function. And then, of course, I had another privilege in my life. I met a guy who worked with Kirlian photography, and he came out with a scientific evidence that it's all in the nervous system that is reflected in the body. And it go with the modern theory. We don't have one brain; we have three basic brain.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is what three brain? Most people think we have a left and a right brain, but we have three brains. We have a mammalian brain, we have a limbic brain, and we have a reptilian brain. And of course, the center of energy are located at three different places. And of
Mhm.
course, we can, through specific practice, we can slowly learn to manage and control these ones. And of course, I met Dr. Vincent Korotkov in St. Petersburg, Russia, when it was the time of Soviet Union. So, of course, the Western world has not been exposed much about his research. And he worked a lot with old Chinese medicine
Mhm.
to find the scientifically experiment and discover that the body is made of trillions of cells, all electrically charged. We are a body of energy.
Yeah.
We're not only muscles and bone. So we are energy, and energy can block or circulate. And through our mind, we can make the energy move in our body. And
Are
of
you
course,
familiar or have you heard of the Heart Math Institute?
Earth map measure the heart up to 1,500 meters outside
Yeah.
of you. Earth map
Yeah.
is one of the first one using biotechnology to help people monitor and understand this.
Mhm. Because I think the research goes very aligned to what this guy is doing as well, about
Exactly.
we are energy. Hmm.
We are reaching an era in humanity of the unknown is becoming known. And what was the past 5,000-year-old breathing technique become modern science. We are
Yeah.
reconnecting. And we,
Yeah.
we live in a nice era. Technology is not always bad. Technology can
Yeah.
help us to speed up. And HeartMath was one of the first company developing technology to help people monitor biofeedback of their heart and so on, and control
Exactly.
emotion. And of course, three neural network of brains, the heart-brain prime function, and HeartMath mostly function on that. Their technology was based on that. The
Okay.
gut-brain prime function. Sometimes we tell
Mm.
people you don't have the guts to do this. Why we use that
Yeah.
expression? You don't have the guts. Where does it come from? In
The gut
ancient
brain.
times, people knew that the guts got a brain, and to do things that are risky, you need gut. And it's not in
Yeah.
the head, the gut. It's not in the heart. It's in the stomach. That's where it is. The
Mm.
Asian people, the Japanese call it the hara center.
The
That's why
heart.
Japanese samurai, when they were a failure, they were doing arakiri. They were
Mhm.
killing the gut brain. And of course, there is the head brain function. But now we live in an era that we focus so much on left brain, right brain, and stuff like that. We think the head controls everything. We forgot the gut and we forgot the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, three neural, heart brain, prime function, emoting, connected with emotion, values, relationship. Many people, their problem is they have wrong values and they try
Yeah.
to intellectualize this with their head. It's not in the head, it's in your heart. It's in your heart that it's happening. So reconnecting with the emotional processing of values, of
Mm-hmm.
belief. And why people are so afraid of dying? We all know that we die.
Yeah.
And one of the value is people have forgotten before you were born. Where were you? You were somewhere before you were born. Where were you? Now that
Where? Mm-hmm.
you're earth, you forget where you come from. We all come back from the divine. If you believe in God, we all come back
Exactly.
from the celestial region of this universe. And
Mm-hmm.
now we are back on earth to do what? To bring back the divine on earth. We
Mm-hmm.
always wait for dying to go back to heaven. No, we come from heaven to bring it to earth, not to die on earth to go to heaven. We are here to bring heaven to earth. And of
Yeah, it's a
course,
completely different perspective. I love that.
yes, of course, we can discuss intellectually about this,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a matter of the head, it's a matter of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if all of us remember working like hell? And of course, the brain is different core identity. So, who am I? So, deep visceral sense of core self with
You're
the
cutting.
intellectual aspect of personality,
You're
and of course, self-realization and motivation. Do
no,
you still
no,
get
you're
me?
cutting the last part you said. I couldn't hear it. I don't know if the audience was able to hear it. I think they couldn't. If you can repeat the last part.
Well, I hope it's okay now. Is it okay now?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay. So, core identity sense. You send it inside you. Self-preservation. The most important person in our life is ourselves. Are we doing everything to preserve ourselves, or are we self-damaging ourselves? Are we taking care of
Mm-hmm.
this body of us? Are we taking a responsibility thing? We can look like people right now walking without a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we will maybe in a year say the mask didn't prove anything, at least I can protect myself until proven different. Mobilization, mobility, impulse for action, gutsy courage of doing things. And of the session, cognition, perception, pattern recognition, thinking, reasoning, abstraction, analysis, synthesis, metacognition, and so on. And of course, making meanings of things. But we live in a world right now, it seems
I can't hear you. You cut.
that people, you cut. So I don't cut, technology cut. So I hope it's okay now.
Yeah, now it's okay.
So the head brain prime function is unfortunately where we put too much
Mm-mm. You're cutting again.
of our stress in their mind. Other brains that are important. So, and that's why I come to this aspect. The nose is for breathing and the mouth is for
Mm-hmm.
eating. How many people breathe by the mouth? Athletes say, I need air, they breathe by the mouth. More air comes in.
Mm-hmm.
They forgot what is the purpose of a nose. A nose is very special.
Yep.
And I will highlight how it relates. So, just a little bit, I leave this picture for people to look at it later. We have to understand the physical component of our lungs. And the lung is quite big. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, we have a rib cage. The lungs are trapped in a rib cage. So if I want more air, where the air can go, it has to go into my stomach. And that's why normally we say when we breathe, we have to consider three parts of the breathing. One in blue green, it's the liquid part. So when we breathe, we should push down the diaphragm to finally get down the digestive system. That's where the lung can go.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's the happy Buddha picture, big tummy. And look at any baby, put a baby on his back, and you will see where they breathe. They breathe by the belly. The belly become a big balloon, and they like making a big balloon with their belly. And this is the proper way of breathing. And second is the rib cage. Rib cage is a cage. Of course, the lung cannot go further than the cage.
Mm-hmm.
But how many people spend time to stretch their rib cage? We have exercises. How can I stretch my rib cage? How can I separate my ribs between each other so that more air can go into my lung in my rib cage? And of course, more air that can go down my
Mm-hmm.
stomach. And the last part is the clavicular part, because we don't realize that the lung go up to the clavicular in the shoulder. So we can breathe up to there. So we have three level of breathing. So that's what breathing practice is. Thinking of because I have to hold my bicycle and my muscle of my stomach to be fixed to move my legs. So I have to realize that I have to use other part of my lung to breathe and to get exercise covering different activities you do and how should you breathe. So, and we have to realize we breathe 1 billion times in one lifetime around 20 to 30,000 times a day we breathe.
Wow.
How much breathing a day do you control? We breathe automatically without realizing, inhale, exhale. Who make
Mm-hmm.
us breathing? What make us breathing? you don't think about breathing, how come I'm breathing? What people have to realize, we breathe.
Oh, we lost you. You freezed.
If I ask you, why do you breathe?
We breathe, and that was the last thing I heard.
What would be your answer? Why is there a need to and many people don't breathe? It's because of the CO2 in our blood. It's not oxygen that makes us breathe. It's the CO2. And when the CO2 in the blood increase, it triggers the demand for oxygen. It triggers the oxygen in the blood to move to the cells of the body. And it's the CO2 that do this. It's not the lack of oxygen. There is always a lot of oxygen. So being is breathing. And we can go back to breathing, even if it's a 5,000-year-old knowledge in India. In our modern world, it's still brand new. And what is the nose outside of our face? The nose is a big cave inside. So thrill. And nose breathing should prevail versus mouth breathing. People have headache. This is the region that becomes very tense, and why? So we have sinuses on the cheek and everything. So we understand that is a cave inside our skull before it goes into our lung. And most people have never learned and never practiced nose breathing. As an exercise, so for those guys, exercise is left. We have God made two nostrils.
We can't hear you, Michel. It's cutting too much.
Basically, simple technique to out into the rest and digest parasympathetic, more relaxed, more calm environment. I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi, because my Wi-Fi is good. So anyway, I hope you'll be able to. So bottom line, what I'm going to share, it comes from Kundalini, which is 5,000 years old in the body, that come in the body, Ida energy and Pingala energy. One is the male energy, and the other one is the female energy. And very funny, the left nostril is the female energy. So to relax, we have to activate the female side of our.
Oh, he's cutting. Wait, Michel, you're cutting. We'll wait a bit. Thank you guys for telling me that you're as well. For you, he's cutting off. Hi, can you hear me? Michel, can you hear?
Yes.
Good. Yeah,
I hear you very well.
I think now you have a better connection. You were cutting too much.
Well, I'm close to my laptop, so I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
So I'm close to it, so I'm talking directly to the computer. So
perfect.
So the idea is to recognize stress affects sympathetic system or parasympathetic. If we are too stressed, it's because the sympathetic is taking over. So we have to.
No. We lost you.
Using the parasympathetic system.
We are losing you. Can you hear me? See. Can you hear me? Well. We lost you again. There.
Okay, I hear you very well.
Good. I hear you good. Okay.
Okay, so basically the exercise is it's in four time.
Hmm.
You have to inhale, you have to hold your lung full, and then you have to exhale, and you have to hold your lung not half, but hold your lung empty. Because most people, we just inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. What need to be added is holding our lung full, either when they are empty of air or when they are full of air. So we have to hold our lung. And of course, it's a matter for people who have practiced this. The nervous system create a trigger mechanism. It take 1 to
Yeah.
2 breaths, and they relax and they get calm very quick. So it's a simple, and we have how many opportunity to practice this in one day? 30,000 times.
Oof.
Every time we breathe, I can control my breathing. So I exhale first, I empty my lung, then I inhale and I keep my lung full.
And tell me something, Michelle. What would be the
Yeah.
difference if inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth between
Well,
inhaling and exhaling through the nose? What's the difference?
okay, the difference is when we exhale slowly through the nose is producing what we call nitrate oxide. And nitrate
Mhm.
oxide is a chemical in the air we breathe in and breathe out that facilitate the transfer of oxygen to the cell of the body. You can exhale by the mouth, of course, but there is other technique that we teach at certain level is producing sound. By producing sound, we create vibration,
Mhm.
and vibration activate different part of the nervous system. But for basic training, we normally use only your nose. But of
Mhm.
course, after that, we can come up with the breathing technique using sound. And the sound can
Mhm.
come from my palatum, it can come from my teeth, it can come from my throat. So the idea is to discover that air produce a lot of sound and we can control them. But
Mhm.
initially, at the beginning, just for mastering stress, we say just inhale by the
The
nose and
nose.
exhale by the nose because it is a physiological function. Inhaling by
Yes.
the nose produces nitrate oxide. Nitrate oxide facilitate in the blood the transfer of oxygen to the cell. We don't want oxygen in the cell. We want oxygen in the body. So it has to move from
Mhm.
the blood cell to the body. And nitrate oxide is a component that comes with the inhalation by the nose slowly. But it has to be slow. The problem is people
Yeah.
breathe too fast. Mostly people who do sport breathe too fast. Slow inhale, slow exhale.
Mhm.
And,
Excellent.
and of
Thank
course,
you.
at the beginning, it needs to be practiced to be understood. It's just
Mhm.
something people have to experience, not understand. You have to experience and to see the difference. When people
Yeah.
can start relaxing and being calm after 3 breaths, they say, "Oh my God, how come I didn't know that before?" But it can take
Exactly.
few hundreds of repetitions before your nervous system is reprogrammed, because this is programmed at birth. The
Mhm.
autonomic system start breathing the moment we get out of mommy,
Yeah.
but we
No.
don't realize that we reprogram that breathing pattern.
Yeah. No, and when we start to exercise breathing, like to really be conscious about it, there's a lot of people that
Yes.
get dizzy doing it because they're
Okay,
doing
now
it
I'm going to
wrong.
bring you an exercise. I will bring you an exercise that go for 5 seconds.
Hmm. Great.
Inhale for 5 seconds. Hold your breath for 5 seconds. Exhale for 5 seconds. Hold your lung empty for 5 seconds. Inhale for 5 seconds. Hold your lung full for 5 seconds. Exhale for 5 seconds. Hold your lung empty for 5 seconds. Inhale for 5 seconds. Hold your lung full for 5 seconds. Exhale for 5 seconds. Hold your lung empty for 5 seconds. And so on. Of course, the 5 second is increased after training to 7 second, 9 second, 10 second, 15 second. I work with synchronized swimmers. They can stay 4 minutes underwater. And I work with Stig Stevenson, who beat the world record of free diving, 20 minutes and 10 seconds, holding his breath
Wow.
for a week.
Wow.
Because we humans are like the dolphin. We have a dolphin reflex. but it needs a lot of practice to do that. He's a free diver. He holds the record of deep diving. And
Wow.
of course, he holds the record of holding his breath. Not that we have to do it for 20 minutes, but most of us can hold our breath very easy for 10, 15, 20 seconds. And
Yeah.
the beauty of it reprograms our body, because when we deprive our body of oxygen, that's when the oxygen moves faster from the blood into the cells. It's called hypoxic
And
training.
it rejuvenates your body as well, right? I heard an
Definitely.
Argentinian researcher that if you can hold your breath for between 1 to 3 minutes, it helps you, for your skin, for the whole health thing. And he was, I think, 54, and he looked 45. He looked really
And I
young.
totally agree with him. But it's time we need more scientists to investigate this. There is so
Yeah.
much to learn for the breath holding.
Hmm.
And of
I
course,
agree
now
with
I
you.
bring this slide that shows the fight or flight nervous system and the rest and digestive system. Of course, on the left is the sympathetic nervous system.
Oh, you're cutting again. We can't hear you.
Attached to it, from sadness. Can you hear me now? But the picture
Mhm.
is speak by itself. On the left is everything that is stressing. On the right, everything that is calming. So slowly, the idea is through breathing, my left nostril is connected to the rest and digest. So left nostril breathing is relaxing and
Mhm.
calming my body. If I need to activate, if I need energy, I breathe the right nostril, which is the flight of. It's so simple, nervous system. And of course, it's like anything else, we can reprogram our breathing pattern. So if I want to be calm, I breathe to the left nostril. If I want to be excited, animated, energized,
Mhm.
I breathe to the right nostril. And it is
Yeah.
so simple, but many people want result quickly. They have to realize that Olympic champion, most of them have spent 16 years preparing
Mhm.
for one moment of glory. Many athletes win their medal after 4 Olympics. Do you know how many times
Mhm.
they have breath under control? Thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
And everybody should learn that. We breathe 30,000 times a day. We have a lot of
Yeah. We do.
opportunity to practice. Every day we breathe 30,000 times. Take 10 or 15 or 20 of it under your
Mhm.
control. And slowly you take control of the impact of stress in your body. So we need to be disciplined to train ourselves.
Yeah.
And of course, this one, I won't go into detail, it's too much wording. We'll
Mhm.
see to make people realize the body store emotion at different place. And it
Mhm.
is linked with the 6 different part of the body. Some part go into the intestine, some part go into the liver and the stomach, some part go into the cardiovascular and the lung. So all
Mhm.
emotion are somatized in the body.
Yeah.
And we have to
Every
realize if
emotion.
I'm angry, it affects my body.
Yep.
Angry kill me. If
Yeah.
I'm
It does.
frustrated, it kills me. If I worry and I'm anxious, it kills me. If I'm
Mhm.
impatient, it kills me. If I'm afraid, it kills me. Right now, we live in a culture of fear. And I
Yeah.
blame social media to promote too much the fear. There's too
Yeah.
much news about be afraid, be careful, it's not good. And this
Mhm.
is creating a chronic stress situation. We have to stop feeding people with negative news. It kills people.
Mhm.
And we have to be aware of this. Be aware of your emotion.
Mhm.
Some emotion are destructive.
Yep.
So and that's why I would go with fear. What is fear? Sometimes they say fear is an acronym. False emotion appearing real. So we have to look at our fear intelligently. And fear is fabrication of the mind most of the time. And of course, there's a mind body
Mhm.
connection. fear of winning, losing, or being injured in sport. There is a physiological, a physical part, either muscular
Mm-hmm.
or autonomic. Autonomic is parasympathetic and sympathetic
Mm-hmm.
nervous. And there is a psychological part, skill based, decreased concentration, increased distractibility, decreased self confidence, increased pain. And of course, it affects the human performance.
Yeah.
So if I'm a student, my performance is passing exam. Of course, if I'm afraid of failing, well, then I'm affected. My concentration decrease, and I become easy distractible by anything that happens in the exam room. And we have to be aware of this. Fear is terrible. We have to reduce fear on this planet. Too much bad news. Too much bad news. Are you still listening to me? Are you
Yes, I am. I
okay?
am.
So this picture is just a collection of photo. In Malaysia, we do camp to cope with fear.
Uh-huh.
Malaysians believe in the
That's
invisible
great.
world. Malaysians
Mm-hmm.
believe that if you go to the jungle, there is spirit in the jungle. And Malaysians are afraid of height. Malaysian is a peninsula, but people don't know how to swim. They're afraid of water. They're afraid that
Mm-hmm.
there's entity in the water. They wait for you to grab your feet. So it's a society living in
Mm-hmm.
fear. So we organize
Mm-hmm.
these camps, and of course we make them meditating. We make them climbing trees. We make them doing commando training. We make them going
Mm-hmm.
underwater, even if they don't know how to swim. And we put them into stressful situation to create an habit. And when you realize after that you were able to cope with it, then you take more and more stress.
Mm-hmm.
And I did 90 jungle survival camp with these Malaysian athletes.
That's a
And you,
great.
Guatemala, you're lucky. You have incredible jungle that I
Yeah.
wish one day I'll be able to
Yeah, you
enjoy.
have to come. You have to come. We wait for you.
Yeah.
Now that
And
you're
your
closer.
environment is conducive for a lot of fear. Many people, Westerner, are afraid of the jungle, but they all dream of going to the jungle.
I
They all
know.
become adventurers. There's so much to learn about fear and stress in the jungle.
Mm,
All these noise at night. The jungle is never silent. There's always
yes,
something.
exactly.
And with the athlete, and we do this on a yearly basis.
That's
And
great.
of course, people are saying they are not commando, they don't need to go through this. I say no, but they are going through stressful event. They are afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And by
Mm-hmm.
getting them into these camps, their body get used to sympathetic activation, and then we practice like we see these kids lining up doing some kind of breathing yoga session is to learn to
Mm-hmm.
activate the parasympathetic. So they learn to get activated and they learn how to count.
Mm-hmm.
When it become an habit, then you say, okay, I can go to the final now.
Exactly.
So and it's like anything else. Stress is life.
That's true.
With stress, boring life.
That's true.
So
Completely
stress
agree
is
with
the
you.
excitement. That's why I prefer the word excitement. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
And life is exciting. It's more interesting than life is boring.
Of course.
And that's why the joy of stress is the name of the game. Olympic records are set in noisy stadium and tracks. Stress of competition in front of huge crowd, and it's the same for any kind of performance. We cannot ask at the Olympic to ask the people in the stadium, can you shut up? You distract the athlete.
You can't.
Imagine in a football match asking the spectator, shut up. He's doing a free hit. Doesn't make sense. And that's why the
No.
athlete has to learn to perform at his best in the most disturbing environment. And we have to
Mm-hmm.
prepare. And it's the same in anything we do in life.
Mm-hmm.
Passing an exam, running a meeting for a boss, anything for a child to take the bus for the first time to go to school. It's a stressful
Mm-hmm.
event. So we all have to adapt to situation, and we can slowly prepare ourselves by exposing ourselves to it, but learning how to trigger the calm, the rest and digest nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, just to share a little bit, in a 10-year period, I had these 8 athletes from my club in Montreal. They all come from the same high
Mm-hmm.
school. They all went to the same skating ring, and they all become medalists at the Olympics. And they come from one
Wow.
club. Montreal, 25 Olympic medals from one club. Malaysia as a country, since the beginning of the story of the Olympic, I've never won so many medals. And these are the kids from one neighborhood in Montreal. 6 gold,
Wow.
6 silver, and 13 bronze.
Wow. That's amazing.
Also, this one, does she look like an astronaut?
Yeah.
Well, I was also in the Navy, and today she's the Governor General of Canada, the most famous woman in Canada. She's been 3 times in space. So if you saw Space Shuttle, you notice at
Wow.
one point there was the arm, and it's written Canada on it. She was the joystick runner of the Canada arm in the Space Shuttle.
Wow.
And she learned one thing, the same thing, exactly the same. Pressure, 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 relax, calm, 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 calm. And when she went to NASA, how did she survive to be selected 3 times to go to space? She can be very calm in all these tests of checking which astronaut should go in space. Calm is the name of the game. And Julie Payette was one of the most successful. She was a track athlete, but not successful track athlete, but became a successful astronaut because
Wow.
she applied to herself into her astronaut life the same situation. When the shuttle
Mhm.
quit planet Earth, it shake like crazy. And of course, the fear of dying, will it explode and everything is
Mhm.
there. But you have to learn to breathe in order to calm yourself until you reach space. So
Exactly.
it applies to any human performance, any kind of people.
Mhm.
And here are 3 girls, same thing. They took 16 years to get their first medal in Barcelona Olympic. I started working with them in 1984,
Wow.
in 1988, and then 1992, and finally they got it. So the two twins, even one get the time to get married and have a child. They went to
Wow.
Barcelona. They all 3 girls from the same club in Montreal. The one in the
Mhm.
middle, Sylvie Frechette, won the gold medal, and she did her best performance in life. And she
Wow.
went into the zone, and she faced a situation. Her boyfriend suicided himself few weeks before the Olympics.
What?
He
Wow.
killed himself before the Olympic. There was an argument between both of them, and some part of was he trying to revenge on her? He killed himself. And of course, at the Olympic, what would you do? Your boyfriend just killed himself. What do you do?
Oh my God. That's
For her,
horrible.
it spent 16 years to be here. And to do synchronized swimming, we're talking a 2 minute effort, 2 minutes of glory. And my boyfriend nearly blew it by creating an incredible stress. He suicided himself. But she
Wow.
coped with this and she succeeded and did the best performance of her life. The two
Wow.
sisters, same thing.
Amazing.
They stopped for a while, one get married, get a kid, and came back after with her sister, let's do it again. And result, they got the
That's
silver
great.
in Barcelona. And these
That's
are the example of those who apply these things. What they do is very under stress, but they have learned how to cope with
mhm.
it by activating the rest and digest by staying calm.
Amazing.
Of course, no time to meditate when you're on the side of the swimming pool.
Mhm.
You're next online to jump in the pool to do your performance. So yoga, meditation, no time to do this. Nose breathing is
No.
the key. And these were the girls who were able to stay underwater for 4 minutes.
Wow.
Totally calm, totally relaxed. Sometimes I remember we had to jump in the pool to take them out because they were feeling so good. Why should I get out? I'm so calm, so relaxed, feel so good. So
Yeah.
we had to jump. 4 minutes is the practice. We're not here to beat the
Not
world
longer.
record. Water, funny. And of course, this is an example, too little stress, no
Mhm.
performance. Joy of stress is optimal. Too much stress is the dark side of the force of Star Wars.
Mhm.
Be aware of the
Mhm.
dark side of the force. So you have to recognize
Yeah.
when my body is too much activated because of the stress environment I'm in. This is when I have to know when to trigger the rest and digest. And of
Exactly.
course,
And this is very hard. When you love something you do, it's very hard.
and that's why we practice.
Mhm.
Athlete trains 6 days a week, 50 weeks a year for 16 years. That's a lot of
Mhm.
hours practicing. And breathing is a lot of practice. So that the body
Mhm.
react normally, it become a trigger, it become a reflex. Being
Exactly.
calm should become a reflex.
Mhm.
And that's why I always say that stress is the spice of life. In Asia, you go there, all their food is spicy. In
Yeah.
Canada, it's a salt and pepper country. And they call it
Yes.
spicy, too much pepper. I said, my God, you don't know what spice is all about. Malaysia, my God, everything you eat is spice that burn your nose. You sneeze everywhere. And that's why spice is the same thing. It's the spice of life. When you look at the stressor as now, my performance would be great. Why? Because I'm stressed. My
Mhm.
body is awake. My body is ready to fight. And this is why We have to look differently at what stress. Stress is not bad. Stress is
No.
good. And if you like spicy food, I think Guatemala must be spicy.
Yeah, not as much as Mexico, but we do have spicy and
And I'm
very,
sure I
very
would
good
love your
one,
food
actually.
because I love spice.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, stress, just definition, what is a stress response? What are the stressor? Any stimulus that we perceive as a threat. Any stimulus, anything. I know people are afraid of spider, afraid of
Yes.
snake, but I know people who play this with this aspect. So
Mm-hmm.
stressor is different for every one of us. And we have to
Mm-hmm.
learn to cope with our stressor to face it. That's why I use the athlete. I took them in the jungle. They're afraid of darkness. They're afraid of climbing trees. They're afraid of going in the river. We put them in
Mm-hmm.
the river. We put them in the trees so that they get used to
Mm-hmm.
that stimulus. And they have to learn how to be calm when they are very stressed. Same thing. And of course, burnout result of failing to cope. Now, in my opinion, COVID, we have to stop talking about it. It's there. Let's build up the habit, wear a mask and stay distance, but stop mentioning it. Stop sharing how many dead this week. Start sharing how many new cases. It doesn't help. It
Yeah.
increases the anxiety because there's too much news about this. People cannot cope with it.
Yeah.
And the last one, and I will leave it to people to read it. The body is a battleship. Sympathetic nervous system trigger cortisol, thyroid, endorphin, sugar, insulin, cholesterol. All bad thing if there is too much. All good
Yes.
thing if it is for a short term. But if it is too long term, it kills you. Too
It is.
strong.
It is.
And same
Mm-hmm.
thing with the autonomic nervous system of thought and feeling. If we think too much and feel too much, sensory receptor are activated. Neuroendocrine, pituitary gland, adrenaline gland, thyroid, sex gland, immune system is activated. Of course, if we are too much under stress, the immune system decrease. Thyroid start to have problem. Sex gland, some people have erectile dysfunction, and sometimes why? It's all because of stress. Too
Mm-hmm.
much adrenaline, too much pituitary gland become calcified. And of
Yeah.
course, cognitive is the thinking brain, become inefficient, disorganized,
Mm-hmm.
and distortion and misinterpretation, indecisive, worrying, expecting the worst, distractible, impatient, concentration, memory impaired. And many people, that's why they get crazy in their head. They, it's like suddenly they don't know what to do.
Exactly. Because of
They
stress.
too stressed, their mind get confused completely. And that's why
Yeah.
it's so important for them to come. I work with a lot of students who had problem in exam. They come out of the exam, I had a blank of memory, I don't remember nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But after learning how to calm themselves, they say, my God, it was so easy. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
when you are calm, your brain functions normally. When you are
Yes.
tense, too much activity, it's like there is a thunderstorm inside your head. You have to go
Mm-hmm.
back to the sunny side of your head, not a thunderstorm.
Exactly.
And of course, other aspect, aggressive and avoidance. So there's more behavioral, argumentative, stubborn, confrontational, overreaction, anger, hostility, passive, paralyzed,
Mm-hmm.
prone to injury. And that's why a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, family aggressivity, husband beating the wife, it's because the
Yeah.
stress is too high and they cannot, suddenly love is gone.
Yeah. They cannot cope with it.
They cannot cope with it. And that's why it's important to learn to calm. Before we
Mm-hmm.
argue, are you calm? Am I calm? Let's calm ourselves first. Now we can
Yeah.
discuss.
Exactly.
And it's like anything else, it can be learned. We have so many exercises to put
Oh
people,
yeah.
it's like a training program. We say for the next 2 weeks, you're going to do this exercise 6 times and you're going to repeat it 2 times a day. At what time and so on. So people have to train, have to be disciplined like an athlete.
Yeah.
When it is becoming an habit, then you just have to do it. And the big
Mm-hmm.
habit is breathe by the nose, left nostril or right nostril. And when
Uh-huh.
the trigger is created, it's a reflex.
Yeah.
And a reflex
Then
is
it's very easy.
millisecond and it works.
No, and it takes a shorter period of time to calm. At the beginning, it takes a longer time. And when
Yes.
you're used to just, it's like, like a trigger that when you start breathing, then in seconds, you're back
Exactly,
to,
exactly. And
to the
that's why the
zone.
athletes I work with, normally they say, just thinking about taking a breath, they calm.
Calms you down.
Just
Hmm.
thinking about it, oh, it's time I breathe by the nose. Or the one who use the
Exactly.
perfume, the essential oil, the moment they take their bottle, they don't need to open it. Just having the
No,
bottle in their hand, it creates a
it's like,
trigger in the system and they get calm.
hmm
And that's why when we look at the stress factor, What are the stressors? They come from environmental, life event, assaults,
Mhm.
personality. Either they're physical, either a noisy environment, accident, or a shock. Chemical,
Mhm.
pollution, food, drug, medication, smoke, alcohol, and everything. So, of course, we live in a polluted environment, mostly in the cities. It's time we
Yeah.
depollute our environment. It's time we bring good fragrance in our life. If you
Mhm.
go to Asia, you will see everywhere you smell incense.
Mhm.
And incense, you enter a temple and you smell incense and you relax just by
Yeah.
entering. The fragrance is relaxing and calming by itself.
Exactly.
Psychological, of course, anything happen in the family. Money is a big concern. There is not enough money for many people. Why there's so many rich people and so many poor people?
Mhm.
Why do you need so many zero after your bank account? So it's one of the biggest stress factor. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to be rich. I work in Asia. Young people want to retire at 35 years old, and they all want to be millionaire. So until 35, they work like crazy. They have no life. And when they
Well,
reach 35, they have their first heart attack,
yeah,
or they have their
exactly.
first kidney problem, or they have digestive problem. So they put themselves on so much pressure, and materialistic gain in Asia is very important. So because of
Mhm.
this, they don't live a good quality life they have. And it can be
Mhm.
professional, and it can be politics. And right now, politics in the world is a nightmare. Let's not
Yeah.
talk about Mr. Trump and so on.
Mhm.
And enough to trigger all kind of negative thinking in a lot of people.
Exactly.
And human, we have to realize, where does my stressor come from? Am I
Mhm.
thinking too much? Am I eating badly? Am I smoking? Am I a drinker? And it's time we become aware. This is the only body you have. When are you going to start take care of it? When you're going to be critically sick, and you're going to be old, and you're going to be in the hospital?
Yeah.
Why waiting so late when you have the whole life to take care of your body? Where did we learn these bad habits? Well, we
That's
live in
right.
a world where marketing, publicity, and money dominates the world, and we
Mhm.
brainwash people, and a lot of false value about food. And now there's a big battle: am I a vegetarian, a vegan, or a veggie? Right?
Yeah.
It's getting confusing.
It's too
As humans, we
crazy.
can eat anything in moderation, and we have to
Mhm.
understand, if I eat that kind of food, what that food will process in my body. How long does it
Mhm.
take for my body to digest it, or to get rid of what I don't need?
Mhm.
We have to learn more about ourselves. Know thyself is the
That's
name of
true.
the game, and we have to reflect more on ourselves. Stop being
Mhm.
influenced by everything around ourselves.
Mhm.
It's time we wake up. That's the only life we have, and we don't take care of it very well. And of course, this is the big thing. 1974, I was still a student at that time, when he came up with the syndrome of adaptation. Two persons can be exposed to the same stressor, but some
Mhm.
people naturally have a stronger resistance to it,
Yep.
and they will reach a burnout later. That's why some people are very easy prone to stress
Mhm.
and to
Yep.
distress. And they have to learn to know themselves.
Exactly.
And they have to take a break. With athlete, we call it periodization. We
Mhm.
have period of high intensity stress, then we give them a transition, a period of break,
Yeah.
and we organize cycle. We should realize it's time we give our life a cycle.
Yeah. It's very
It's
important.
slowly coming. People are awakening. I don't know how it is in your country, in Canada. Now, pregnant women have maternity leave, but now they realize to be a father also is a stressful event,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
father need paternity leave to
Mhm.
create a bond with the child and to reconnect what it is to be a father and everything. So I
Mhm.
think we're getting closer to what it is to be a human, and
To
getting
that
back to
balance.
what we
Mhm.
are, to balance ourselves. Stop
Yeah.
living
We still
stress.
don't have
Say,
that
"When
here.
tough, I can take it, I can take it."
Mhm.
Suicidal. Taking too much is suicidal. Take a break is the name of the game.
Yeah. No, and I completely agree with paternity leave. It's a stressful situation for both parents.
Yeah.
We still don't have that here, and I don't know if they're actually taking into account that it should be by law either have the option of maternity or paternity leave and a
Yeah.
longer period. Here is very short. Here is just it's less than 3 months.
Well, here it has reached Canada, now it is here. And of course, you
Hmm.
don't have full salary. If you want to extend, you will have a
Hmm.
decrease of salary, but you don't lose your job when you come back to work, at least.
Yeah,
And
that's
of
great.
course, stress management, that's what brings stress. What is stress? It's go back to recognize yourself. Where is stress happening in your body? And if it's in your mind, well, maybe it's time to change your mind. And what is stressful to you? I know some people, passive smoking is stressful. Me, I'm a non-smoker.
Yeah,
As soon as somebody smoke in the place, it is very stressful for me. I would get
I
out.
know.
If I'm in a
I
restaurant
know. It happens to me the
and now
same.
in your country, well, I don't know how it is in Guatemala. In Malaysia now, all public places, smoking is forbidden. Now I'm happy I can go anywhere and I can eat.
I
Before, people
know.
were smoking everywhere. Canada is the
You know,
same thing. Public places, smoke free. But
that
I know
was
not
it.
all the
It was
countries, but they, yeah.
it. Yeah, it was like that for a while here, and then they just didn't. I don't know. They didn't do it anymore, and that's a pity because it was really great to be in places and public places that nobody was able to smoke. Only if they were outside the public place, but not
Company
inside.
lobbying.
Oh, I'm losing you. I can't hear you. You
Stress.
froze.
Okay,
There.
dealing with stress. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, changing how you feel. We have the control of our emotion. If I am angry, stop saying, people, you make me angry. No, I make myself angry with you. You didn't make me angry. I make myself
Yeah.
angry. Anger belongs to me, not to you.
I decided to get angry.
Yes. And we have to realize a lot of our emotion, we blame sometimes. What do I mean when I say I love you? I love myself with you.
Mm,
It's me I love with you,
exactly.
not you. And please don't change.
Uh-huh.
If you change, will I still love myself with you? And we sometimes see it when
Mm,
the wife go to a beauty parlor, she change her hair, go and buy a new dress. The husband look at her, say, "What have you done? I pleased myself." But it pisses you off
yeah.
because you don't like my hairstyle and you don't like to look at the price of the dress I just bought. So we always blame others, we blame the environment. It's time we take responsibility. How
Yeah.
we feel
That's
belong to us. Changing how we
hmm
think. We have a lot of irrational thinking and a lot of
hmm
superstition we bring from generation to generation. The collective unconsciousness, we bring it a lot.
hmm
And changing how we behave. How do we have to behave our way in a way in situation? And time management.
hmm
I travel a lot in the world. You travel also. Does
Yeah.
jet lag exist
In your head.
in your head? Because me, I travel. I don't experience jet lag, and people don't know where jet lag come from. It's the union of the people who work in the plane, the steward, who bring this concept and they finance these research on jet lag so that they can negotiate with the air company so that the employee can have a break after staying so many hours in the air. And that's why the jet lag came in. If you travel that many time zone, you need 1 day rest and so on. It was
hmm
purely for the steward industry in the plane. These employees needed a break and they find a way, jet lag.
hmm
But now everybody who travels say, "Oh, I'm suffering jet lag." Why?
That's true.
It isn't. You're not working in a plane. You just take the plane. And the
Yeah.
children are the best children. If you don't tell them the word, they don't know. They don't know jet lag. Me, I travel with my son.
hmm
He's 13 years old. It's been 13 years. He traveled 2, 3 times. We come to Canada twice a year, and never I heard him saying, "I need to sleep." Jet lag. Never. So it's like if he used this, it's because he's listening to me right now, talking to you. From him, never mentioned this. Children want to play. When it's 7 in the morning, they want to get out, they want to play. So they
Of
don't say,
course.
"Oh, I just arrived at 4 o'clock."
No, they
Time
don't care.
management is also an intellectual thing. It's a way of thinking. It's
hmm
fabricated. And of course, we have to put all this together. So stress management is not one answer, it's many approach. But it
Yeah.
has to be personalized. Each of us should look at ourselves. How am I personally affected with stress? How do I deal with it? And how can I change how I feel, how I behave, and how I think and so on.
hmm
And of course, what I do, and I'm sure what you do in your life, I do a lot of individual approach. I have a lot of individual client, individual
Yeah.
athlete, individual businessman, young entrepreneur. And I do group approach. I work with teams. I work with association. So we have program together, and I do workshop and seminar like you do. And BBU approach, some people, they have the discipline to practice. They just need to be guided. Which book should I
Yeah.
read? Which article should I read? And so on. So I guide people in their literature, what they should read to increase. And I know they don't need nobody to help them. They are self-disciplined. They are self-starter. And of course, that's how I help people more and more. And
That's
of course,
amazing.
adaptation energy. We talk about a lot about what stress are, but we don't talk about what help us to fight. So
Yeah. What motivates
work
us?
smartly, money, same thing, manage your money smartly. Don't forget to have fun in life. And family is important, probably more important than anything else. And what are the core things in our life? Doing exercise. And unfortunately, exercise right now is a business. Go to the gym, do road racing, do cycling, go mountain
Yeah.
biking. It has been recovered by the industry of exercise. And
Yeah.
hobbies. What hobby do you have? Many people have no hobbies. But when we were kids, we have a lot of hobbies. But as we grow and we
That's
get
true.
married or whatever, we suddenly have no hobby. We're too busy working. We're too busy getting stressed. And the idea is we have to balance everything. So many people say, the house at home, always working, single parent. I'm a single parent. I say, stop raising children, live with them.
Yeah.
And children are better than us in adaptation energy. They know
They
how to
are.
recreate themselves, and they know how to exercise, they know
They
how to
are.
meet friends. Children, we should learn from the children. They are better than adults.
Mm-hmm.
Adults think too much, and we're too much trapped in the rat retirement and all kinds of stuff. Kids are better. We should learn from the
Yeah.
children. And finally, I would say that's
It's amazing everything you share with us, Michel. I love it. We went above and beyond our time. We've been here for 1 hour 36 minutes so far, but I think I couldn't stop you
that's
because
what I told
everything.
you. If you don't tell me in 5 minutes, I cannot stop. I can go on forever. I'm like
I know it.
the Duracell battery racket. When I got my battery, they never end.
Yeah, no, and I love. I think everything you share is really, really important at this moment, especially if we want to be resilient in our life to what's going on right now and what we want actually in life. Because at the end is we need to learn how to manage our stress in order to have a fulfilled life, to have the balance we're looking for, to have the mindset. Because it's not only about like eh, handling stress good, is having the right
Yeah, I
mindset to
totally agree
be
with
able
you.
to do it. So yeah, I didn't want to stop you. I think it was amazing, and I believe if our audience can share with us or have any questions, they gave many comments. I'm going to share them with you. They were
Yes.
saying, hold on. Yeah, we are what we think. Our brain is amazing. We can rewire through the awareness of self. Conscious breathing brings you to be present here and now. And it's amazing story about human spirit, the one you told about the Olympics in Barcelona, what happened to the girls and how, like having that training of knowing how to handle stress actually made the shift for them. Oh, you froze again, Michelle. Ah, can you hear me?
Yes. And if you want, like my slide, you have the PDF.
Yes.
If a participant want to have it, feel free to distribute.
Okay, I will. And
Because many things they can highlight.
yeah, I think people will benefit a lot from it. So I'm going to share to our community. And I wanna, I'm putting your contact information on the chat box in Facebook. So if people want to contact you to get further information and get to know your work and what you do, and now that you're in Canada, you're closer to us, and the
Yeah.
time difference is just 2 hours now. And when time zone goes back, then it'll be a 1 hour. You're 1 hour ahead, and now we are
Yes.
two. So that's very good. Well, that in Guatemala, in other countries, you will be the same time.
By the way, did you record the presentation?
Yes, it's going to stay. So, you can share it. It's open to the public. If you saw this and think somebody will benefit from it, you can share it. And I
Yes.
will upload it to my YouTube channel as well. I'm going to put the YouTube channel there. I have more than already 50 different Facebook Lives on different topics that we have had for the last year. So if you can share the YouTube channel or the Facebook Live here. So
I will
either
definitely
way,
check it out. I will check it out definitely.
yeah,
I
I
even
I left the link
learned
here.
that you did in Spanish, even if I don't understand.
Yeah, well, I have many in English. I have, since many of my
I know you had
presenters
Jeff.
are.
You had Jeff Griffin a long time ago. So
Yes, I had Jeff. I've had many people from different places. So yeah, depending on the mother tongue. Well, English or Spanish. I haven't done in German. I
I,
speak German,
I,
but I haven't
I,
tried that
I
one.
have to learn Spanish. I have to learn Spanish. I speak French because I can read
Whenever.
Spanish. It's easy to understand when I read.
Yeah, because you speak French.
Yes, exactly. So who knows? Maybe one day I'll decide that it's something new that I have to learn.
Yeah, you tell me. You let me know. We can
Then
practice.
I can
And
go
I
to your
practice
beautiful
my
country.
French.
Yes.
So, Michelle, it was an honor having you here. And guys, to the audience, if you have any questions, you can write them down, and we will be going back to the Facebook so we can answer your questions. And if it was a long Facebook Live, but I think it was really worth it. So thank you for staying here and have an amazing evening. So